Giving topic to Aruna. Study a place. Your woman outside with cousin whole day. You can't see face. The story end up on ladies' room. You disappear without trace. Voila. If all she know is papi show and stress outside, it's love in the room. If you wanna have to girl, take care, they bust the files. When you fit in her loving tongue, baby, it's love in the room. Don't whine on me here, lady. It's love in the room. If he wanna fight and stray, it's love in the room. We playing with house Monday in the ladies' room.
One to year 10, still your number one. Power 95, a decade strong. Saturday, December 6th. Save the date.
And good morning again, everybody. Welcome back to the room, the final one for the week. And of course, it is the final Thursday in the month of October. Shout out to all the Scorpios in the building. It is your season, your time. Can't wait for it to be over because I swear y'all act as though the entire zodiac sign belongs to y'all. But anyways, good morning. Thank you so much, Beacon Insurance, Western Union, and not forgetting our friends at Nirvana Spa and Detox for making our show possible. And we're also getting ready to wrap up the month of October. There's so much happening in October. We have Child Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Month, Financial Literacy Month, Credit Union Month. So it's a lot happening in October. And of course, we tried our best to at least highlight some of them. Last week, we had we had Child Month. Was it last week or this week? Yeah, Tuesday. We had someone from the ministry speaking on Child Month and, of course, children with disabilities and how we treat and how we handle them as the public. And we also had last week 2 guests speaking on mental health, their battle, their journey, their struggles with mental health. And it's on that premise I invited my guests to come on the show so we can discuss this and get a better understanding regarding mental health. And of course, this month is also, like I said, Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're getting ready to wrap up tomorrow. So I thought the perfect way to end it is by bringing in a guest to do just that. So before we bring him up on the screen, just want to say good morning, good afternoon, evening, night to you, wherever you are listening and viewing our live stream on YouTube or Facebook. And if you are listening on radio, 95.1, 95.3, or online via the Power app, don't forget to download the app and take us with you wherever you go. And that way you don't miss a thing. For those of you just joining us for the first time, welcome, come in the room. It's a very safe space. We interact and we are respectful of each other's comments, etc. So coming in and be part of the interaction. Shantae, thank you so much for sharing. Jackie, good morning. Shout out to my folks in the US, Canada. Shout out to the folks in Jamaica. Like as always, we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and we will do our bit to help in the recovery process. Dawn, good morning. Hey, Donna. Guys, do me a favor and share the live because today is a very, very, very interesting conversation. Where is Andrea? I need Andrea to be here for this because she always says I need to have this side of the conversation, you know. Where's Andrea? Where's Andrea? Shanti, could you do me a favor, please, and make sure um, Andrea is here. Morning, Melvin. Good morning, Kem. Lisa, Trisha, everybody, good morning. Diane, who else is here? Good morning, Ria. Good morning, Ellen, Dabrio. And the guys that are coming in the room, welcome. I always like when the men are here to, be part of the conversation. Diamond Ramdeen, good morning, Lady A. Could you send shout out to my boo birthday wishes, Ronson Smith and Woburn? Okay, there we have it. Happy birthday, Ronson. Hope you have a good celebration of life. Jackie says to big up Ben and the greedy people in Bylands. Listen, that had me cracking up last night. I swear it was so funny, but it's also serious. It shows that there are people, even though you may not be, as we term them, on the normal scale, but they are still able to articulate and understand what's happening. And I'm happy that you highlighted that. There are a lot of people in communities who take, and the less fortunate don't get. So kudos to her for standing up for herself. So big up Ben and the greedy people in Bylands. Bylands people, y'all need to share. All right. The lady's not happy with what's happening in Bylands. Anyways, time for us to get into it. So good morning, Della. Good morning. Hey Lisa, good morning. Everybody else, welcome back to the room. And I'm not just say good morning to everybody else except Byland people. Morning, Auntie Sharon. No, that was funny though. Anyways, we have a lot to unpack in this segment, so come on in quickly. I know that usually takes, if you don't have your notification on, might take you a minute or two, but I have to rush. I can't stick today because before we start, it's a wrap. The hour flies really quickly, and I don't want to. I don't want to stick. Good morning to everybody except Island people. Y'all are so silly. Anywho, today in the ladies' room, we're diving into a powerful conversation for Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's a topic that affects so many of us, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. And we want to look at the connection between our early experiences and our mental health as adults. Also, exploring how our childhood experiences shape who we become as adults. Joining us is Dr. Anthony Bridgman. He's a proud Canadian educator, clinician, and global advocate for mental wellness. And he spent more than 3 decades working across education and counseling, helping people heal, grow, and rebuild after trauma. And Dr. Bridgman brings a wealth of experience, a deep sense of compassion, and a passion for breaking the stigma around mental health in our Caribbean communities. So, with that premise, let me say, Dr. Bridgman, welcome to the ladies' room. Not your first time, but welcome again. And it's good to have you with us.
Thank you so much. And as a proud Bylands boy, I sat here laughing as to what you just said. But thank you so much for the opportunity again for being here and talking about such an important topic. And I want to thank you and Power for really putting a spotlight on mental health. I did listen last week, went back and listened to the two ladies that you had on the program talking about their struggles and with regards to bipolar. So again, I want to thank you, and we really need to break the stigma of mental health in Grenada and throughout the Caribbean and in our Black community. So I appreciate being here to have that dialogue.
Fantastic. So let's start with the basics, Dr. Bridgman. And when we talk about mental health awareness, what does that really mean beyond just a month on the calendar?
Okay. Great. Well, mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And then when we talk about wellness, we're talking about the active process of making choices, really, towards a healthy and meaningful lifestyle. So both of them influence how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and how we make decisions. So the awareness of it is to really bring a spotlight to the public as to people struggling with having different disorders so that we can all address it and not really create that stigma, push them aside, referring to them as being crazy. So that's what I think in terms of the awareness mean, education. A big piece in terms of the corrective aspect as we deal with mental health is psychoeducation. We're helping people to understand what it is, helping people who are suffering with whatever disorder to help them understand. And that's where early detection is so important to get the help that you need.
And, over the years, especially in working in the Caribbean, how have you seen attitudes towards mental health change, or maybe not change as much as we'd like?
Great question. In my research, and I did extensive research throughout the Caribbean, Jamaica, and it was really difficult to find peer-reviewed empirical evidence to suggest regarding mental health in the Caribbean. I did Grenada and looking at the past 20 years to see what was going on, and not much there. But I can say what I'm seeing now. There is a shift. There's a paradigm shift now to more understanding, more talk about it, with regards to the departments in the ministries now that have been established. Mental health ministry. We haven't had that in a very long time. So it's really good to see that. More money needs to be put into mental health so that people can really address the issues. And Aruna, one of the big issues that we are faced with in the Caribbean and in Grenada is the confidentiality. People are not comfortable going to speak to others about the problem. This is something about us.
Mhm.
We don't want the next door neighbor to know what we're going through. And we
And I
don't
think
have,
that two ladies last week attested to that. That that's one of the issues they had.
yes. We don't have the skilled professionals to handle this. And I take this really, really seriously. There's a code of ethics for us. And I have malpractice insurance in case someone sues me with regard to violation of anything. And I hold this very, very seriously with regards to confidentiality. Because someone coming to you at the most vulnerable moment, you have to establish trust and respect. Again, and as I said in the intake process, when I meet with people, one of the things I tell them, there are, with regards to confidentiality, if you tell me you're going to harm yourself or you're going to hurt others, I have to release that information. If I get a court order, I have to release. But things that we discuss in the session is confidential, and we need that more in Grenada to help people to feel more comfortable to seek help. Because again, trust is a very big piece for us as Caribbean people.
You spend so much time working with both young adults, young people and adults, right? Let's talk about something that doesn't always get enough attention: the long shadow of childhood trauma. How strong is that connection between what we go through as children and the mental health struggles we might face as adults?
It is the big issue that we are facing when we have clients in treatment. Whenever I do an intake, and before I answer the question, there's a process in treatment. First, you must do an intake. An intake is where you're gathering information from the individual seeking help. You deal with, you go through what you call a biopsychosocial summary, the biological pieces of the person, the psychological, the social, the family, and every aspect. What brings you to treatment? So you do that, and then you go through what we call informed consent, explaining my experience, my expertise, explaining treatment, explaining confidentiality, explaining that counseling is voluntary. You can leave at any time you want, and those kind of stuff. And then you talk about writing treatment goals and those things. So with regards to this, the information that we receive in most situations, in most cases, stem from childhood. There's a concept called ACS, adverse childhood experiences. And adverse childhood experiences deal with a lot of trauma. And it manifests itself in childhood and later on in adulthood. You mentioned trauma. Trauma is one of the things that we see a lot in our communities. And it stems from childhood. What we see in your trauma, there we can see what we call reaction attachment disorder. It's a very big piece. We've seen some disinhibited social engagement disorder. We've seen post-traumatic stress disorder. We've seen acute stress disorder, adjustment disorders, and other unspecified disorder that we've seen. And a very big piece, Aruna, we've seen with trauma is betrayal trauma.
Explain
Betrayal
that.
trauma is about infidelity. One of the examples, infidelity in relationships,
Mhm.
divorce, child abuse. So all these things, and one of the correlation to those disorder we've seen in adverse childhood disorders is what we call borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is the person experiences a lot of pain in childhood, and later on in life they become detached, and there's very high suicidal ideation. And there's a lot of work in terms of working with that person with regards to the emotional pieces that we see with people. But yes, childhood situation affect the two ladies you had last week talked
Mhm.
about childhood experiences, what they experienced. And we see in bipolar, there are two types of bipolar. We have bipolar 1, which you have what they describe accurately, as a matter of fact, with regards to mania and depress and hypomania and depression.
Mhm.
Once it lasts for more than 70 days, we call it, based upon the symptoms and the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, we label it as bipolar 1. Bipolar 2 is there's no manic, there is hypomanic in terms of depression. And when I use the word manic, I'm talking about someone who has increased self-esteem or inflated self-esteem, so to speak. We're talking about someone who has decreased the need for sleep, someone who has rapid or rapid speech. You see them a lot, racing thoughts. And one of the things a lady said last week that I really like: the individual comes before the diagnosis. And to
Mhm.
your listeners there, a diagnosis does not define who you are. You'll be surprised the number of people walking around and productive have any type of diagnosis with regards to mental health. Mental health. I deal with people a lot for anxiety disorders, and you will be surprised. So again, the disorder does not define you, and this is where we have to educate our community, our country, our people, that when they're going through some stuff, seek the necessary help and walk away, break away from that stigma, because you need help. Early detection and intervention matters a lot in terms of getting to a place where you can become stabilized.
Because you always say there's a very thin line between sanity and insanity.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And sometimes people think, a lot of the times people think, when with the trauma, when you hear trauma, it only means physical or extreme abuse. But what are some of the less obvious forms of childhood trauma that can still have a lasting impact later on in life?
Domestic violence is a big one. A child seeing their mom being beaten. A child is being screamed at often. A child again is being beaten. We need to know that. I mean, I see it all the time in situations here in the school, dealing with parents, dealing with my clients. The way people handle situation, the response to situation. The situation at times does not require the level of response. And you see, sometimes people are coming to you, especially kids, you know, at a level with regards to going back to that childhood piece, the fear factor, the lack of communication, the lack of eye contact, pressured speech, those things. You see it a lot. So you're not necessarily sexual abuse. That's very, very big one. But in terms of a minor piece, our communication patterns, the way we relate to each other, the way we talk to each other, what we say and what we expose them to can really create a big impression later on in life if it's not corrected.
And for those who may only realize in adulthood that their childhood was emotionally damaging, where does healing even begin?
And that's another great question. Healing can begin with the person first understanding what they are experiencing. There are so many things that we can do besides going to therapy. Therapy is a good place. I'm a therapist, and I'll encourage people to seek help. But for you, I think a good place is understanding and psychoeducation. The lady said last week that they read a lot, they research a lot. So if someone diagnosed me with social anxiety, one of the things I'm going to do is to go read about social anxiety. What are the symptoms? What are the treatment? What are the techniques I can use? One of the things we encourage a lot of people to do is self-care, doing things to help you to deal with whatever you're going through. Exercise is another big one. Mindfulness. I need to get people more into mindfulness. Deep breathing exercises. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling for 5, counting up to 5. Exhaling 4. You do that consistently and you feel better. When I deal with students who are angry, that's one of the things I do first before I address the situation, to help them to be calm, help them to become grounded. Again, the way we respond to situation, people talk about anger. Anger is a secondary emotion. Anger is a manifestation of something else going on. So how do I help the person to say that you're expressing whatever is going on deeply through anger? Here are some other constructive ways to do it. So I think someone going through whatever in their adult life is, first of all, understanding what I'm going through. Again, you may not have the resources there to get the necessary help, but here's some of the things you can do. Again, deep breathing, mindfulness. Mindfulness is really about safe spaces. I do it a lot in my therapeutic sessions. Take them to places that they feel in their own heads. I don't tell them where to go. I want to take you now. It's about paying attention to your 5 senses. What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you taste? What does it feel like? And to get them there for about 5 minutes. I do it with my staff all the time too, my faculty. Coming away from the weekend and they're having a Monday meeting, people are tense. The holidays also, as they come up, before I do anything, we're going to do a breathing exercise on mindfulness. Be comfortable. This is something that you can do on your own. Reading, again, doing on your own. So there are lots of things you can do on your own because, again, you may not have the resources going to a counselor, therapist, and stuff.
Do you think our education system in the Caribbean are trauma informed enough? And what could we be doing differently to better respond to students in crisis or distress?
That's the best question you've asked because this is so important. We need in the ministries well-trained counselors, and the caseload is too big. Having one counselor or 2 counselors in a secondary school, we need more counselors. We need to send people to be trained and to understand it. So yes, we don't do much with regards to trauma with the school. So I always offer my help. I tell people all the time, whenever Grenada calls, I'm there to help, to support, to do professional learning. I wish at times my Grenada had the resources that I have here in my school. I have school psychologists, I have social workers, I have counselors. They're all different in terms of their roles and responsibilities. I take on cases for myself with students based upon the depth of the issues, because my counselors are not necessarily trained to handle mental health situation. Because in New
And they're
York,
stationed in your school every day, or they just pass through?
every day. The American Counseling Association states that each school should have 1 counselor per 250 students. So if I have 1,500 students, I may need 6 or 7 counselors in my school. And their role is to work with students with regards to maybe behavioral issues, college planning, career planning. The social worker is one that really deals with a lot more with regards to the mental health situation, because the counselors are not necessarily trained for that. The school psychologist deals with school testing in terms of a student diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, intelligent testing, and those different aspects. But with regards to real mental health, you have to have your license, you have to be trained in order for you to be doing effective work here in New York. And I like that people can just come, you just come and see your mental health counselor or a therapist. You have to have the certification and the license here in New York State.
And you made a valid point in terms of, because I've heard it myself, doing different programs and speaking to different people, that we don't have enough social workers. they're limited, and the few that we have, they're overwhelmed. And how can you perform effectively if you're overwhelmed and you're stressed because you have to be at all these different schools and not have time to even breathe for yourself? How
Yes.
effective can you be if you're stressed and you're overworked and you're overwhelmed?
And that's so important. And I think again, governments past, current government, I think they need to make more investment in the human capital with regards to sending people, giving them scholarship to become counselors and social workers. Because I tell you, it's these situations, the issues I'm seeing in the school system here. And I'm glad I'm here. I wish I can really take this and do it on a broader scale in Grenada, because students have neurological disorders, and one of the neurological disorders we've seen here is attention deficit disorder, and we also seen it in adults too. We also seen some mood disorders, disruptive mood disorder. We've seen conduct disorder. I'm seeing a lot of intermittent explosive disorder, that someone just jump and want to punch someone in the mouth and want to set fires. You see that in school system. You see a lot of oppositional defiant behavior with regards to authority. In Grenada, that happens a lot. Defiance to authority and stuff. So those things, we need this trained personnel in our school system to deal with that, because mental health comes before academics. And we focus a lot because, we say, oh, man, you'll get over it. The old traditional ways of handling situation in Grenada, it will pass.
It'll pass.
And also go pray on it. Pray and it will pass.
Yeah.
That's not working. I'll be honest with you, it's not working. Some of the most praying people I've met are in therapy right now.
You're right about that for sure. Now, you think that some of the teachers themselves can be trained and certified, etc.?
Teachers can get the necessary education to understand classroom behaviors, and we provide that. But I think at times it's too much on teachers. We ask them, to be parents, to do all that kind of stuff, and to teach at the same time. I want my teachers to know. So if there's a student in the classroom that is having attention deficit or oppositional defiant disorder, I would like them to know what are the symptoms, what are the techniques necessary to work with those students. Okay, maybe giving them something to play with in terms of a stress releaser. That works a lot. I have students that come to my office, and I have a lot of instruments in my office and stuff that I use to have them to decrease stress. We do it together. Play therapy is so important. So we want to teach them about play therapy and the importance of that to help students in the classroom.
I have a question here from the live. Andre is asking, saying, we've recently celebrated the anniversary of a very turbulent time in our history, and we have many children, now adults, who've had parents who were in prison at the time, and this time of the year is a trigger for them. How do they reconcile their feelings with the trauma they experience and the now celebratory time?
Boy, that's a good question. It deals with post-traumatic stress disorder. That is so important for us to understand and to deal with. One of the things that we don't do well is to talk about things of the past that have happened. We tend to suppress or push it down. We don't want to talk about it. It's too painful. There's a process involved in talking about it. We call that exposure therapy. And it's a gradual piece that you take someone who has post-traumatic stress disorder, for example, a serious or severe car accident. And the person said, I will no longer drive again. You don't just tell a person, jump in a car and drive. Exposure therapy allows them stages. First of all, maybe stand by the car for a period of time. When the person feels comfortable, maybe just open the door, touch the door. Then maybe enter the door, sit on the passenger side, feel how it is. Then move over to the driver's side, touch the steering wheel until they become really acquainted with it. The same way with what happened back in 1983, 84, that period of time. We need to talk more about it, and we need to really help students and others process it. Okay, we experience a painful piece in our lives. I was part of that piece. As a schoolboy in GBSS that day, and going up to that place to help free Bishop, and then going to the Market Square. I'm glad I went to the Market Square, not went up there, because having a brother in the military and talking always about military pieces. Don't go to military camps and stuff, because you can control what happens there. But we need to talk more about it, and we need to deal with it. The painful past about it, and how we can adjust now, what it means for that individual. One of the things I really don't like, and we don't do it well at all, we only talk about those things on the anniversary of it. We have to do it throughout the year, so people can become much more acquainted with it and much more comfortable to experience it. So when that day comes, yes, it will be painful, but because we have exposed ourselves, it's not as painful as that only when we do it for that time. We're very good at only doing events and not projects.
I totally agree. Let's talk about stigma, because even now, mental health conversations are still wrapped in shame, fear, or misunderstanding. Why do you think it's still so hard for many people, especially men in our Caribbean culture, to seek help?
Oh boy, yeah. There is society. There's a lot of societal piece. I would say that. There's also the church. The church, how for example, 2 years ago, I did an extensive research on the stigma of mental health in the Caribbean. And they did ask me if I want to publish it in the American Journal of Mental Health and Counseling. What I've seen, and the research has shown, that we grew up in a society where those things were foreign to us, so to speak. We never had anyone talking about mental health. We had the mental institution that we call the crazy house. We had the guy on the street walking and begging, and we say crazy. We label them. Okay, so see how we relate and address others. So they say, I'm not going to come public and say I'm going through it. A man would not come in and say that they're going through depression and sadness and having some acute stress disorder and being divorced and adjustment disorder. What they will say, I'm fine, I'm good. They will go drink some alcohol. That's a coping mechanism. So when we establish that trust in peace and not blame, not judgment, that comfortable and welcoming environment to say, let's talk about it. Share with us. Do you know how many grown men have cried to me when they start talking about a pain, and they have been holding on to this? Because society, we got to let them know that they're strong. They're this and they're that.
But even as a child, the first thing you hear, growing up with your brothers, you would fall and bruise your knee, and as a girl, you would cry, and they would cuddle you. "Oh, okay, it's okay," and your brother falls and be like, "Hush him out and stop crying." You have to be a big boy. You have to be a big boys don't cry. So you've learned to suppress from a tender age.
Ask a man, how are you feeling? He will tell you how he's thinking. We're not comfortable sharing how we feel. We need to become more culturalized and more comfortable to talk about our feelings rather not our thought processes. Thoughts are good, but I want to know how you feel. How you feel about this? What just happened? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it, man. I'm good.
It's good, and you can see they're not good, but you say, "I'm good."
They're not, and you talk about incongruence, where the behavior does not match what they're saying. So I have a time to help them to say, it's okay. Let's talk about it. And again, the questions you ask are so important. And that's where, I was asked Monday night in a group supervision with some other therapists, how do I get people to talk when they don't want to talk? And my response have always been, I'll always ask them, what do you want to talk about? When someone tells me I don't know, I always ask them, what do you know? Tell me what you know. And we're going to go from there and do it. Again, helping the person to feel comfortable. Therapy is about maybe the big percentage of it is a therapeutic alliance, helping that person to feel comfortable in the session where they can trust you. I have a 12-year-old that I'm seeing who has had therapy from since he was age 4. None of the therapists like them. 2 sessions with him, and he said, I want to come back. I can't wait to come back, because again, And I use a lot because I'm in the school system and I deal with students every day. So I think I may have an advantage in understanding and working with kids. But how you relate to them. I do believe this matters a lot. We have a lot of cold people out there and not welcoming. To get someone to share things with you, trust is important. And whether or not they feel that you're competent, you can help them matters a lot.
So how do we begin changing that narrative, making getting help something strong and courageous and not shameful?
We have to publicize it. We got to make it comfortable for people to seek help. Okay, we have to talk more about it and not just do it in October. The Ministry of Mental Health in Grenada has to do things throughout the entire year. Okay, have to have competent professionals to get the help. We got to break down the bureaucratic nonsense that we have in Grenada in our ministries and all that kind of stuff. When people go to seek help, they can come back next day because this person is not here today. We really have to really make it a level playing field where people can come and feel comfortable for the help, provide the education for them, help again if they don't have the money, have places where they can go and stuff. Because one of the biggest drawback to receiving counseling is not having money to pay. Someone is taking medication alone is not sufficient. And the two ladies last week talked about that. They're medication, but you also need something else because with regards to medication management and talk therapy, they work hand in hand. So someone taking, there are a few disorders where you have to take medication for. Schizophrenia, you got to have to take medication for that. Borderline personality, bipolar personality, post-traumatic stress disorder, you got to take medication. They will prescribe medication for you. But talk therapy also helps you, especially using cognitive behavioral treatment models to help you with the thought process. Because we have a lot of folks around who have distorted thought processes. The way you think, some people are very negative. I can't be too happy right now. Something bad is going to happen. Who taught you? I've been with a couple, and every 2 weeks, things going well. One of them has to sabotage the relationship because they think things are going too well. Our negative view of the world. We have to unlearn a lot of things that we have learned over the years to help address it. But therapy is good, Aruna. Therapy is good if you have a good therapist and understand and not providing expertise beyond the training and learning. I think they're good. I have to tell you what I'm seeing a lot and what we've seen a lot, the 10 most popular disorders people are seeking help for in counseling. One is major depressive disorder, depression. That is having at least 5 or 9 symptoms of depression. Generalized anxiety disorder. Okay, there are different types of anxiety. We have social anxiety, agoraphobia. Social anxiety is the threat of going outside. The fear of people are talking to me, talking about me when I go out there. Then you have agoraphobia, the fear of something, the fear of going into a building, the fear of living in your house. Then you have panic disorder. Panic disorder is that bumping in your chest, you feel that pain, that as you go to walk through something, give that speech, you do it. And then you have generalized anxiety disorder, excessive worry, losing sleep, ruminating, meaning thinking about a whole lot of stuff you can't control. So people, we work with people to have what we call intolerance of uncertainty, that you may not be clear as to what's going on, but to help you to tolerate it and handle it. So we see that a lot. Post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar 2, not a lot of bipolar 1, but bipolar 2. Attention deficit in the school system, we see that a lot with kids, and a lot of them are on medication because impulsivity and attention is one of the two of the areas that we see. Obsessive compulsive disorder. We do have a lot of people walking around obsessive compulsive. Obsessive is the thought processes that a person has. Compulsive is the behavior. So the washing of their hands all the time, that's the compulsive piece. Working with them, you have to work on both of them to help them to say, you're going to go outside today, and when you come back for 10 minutes, don't wash your hands. That's part of the work to do it. But you got to get into the mind with the obsession and the compulsion. So we see that. Adjustment disorder, Aaron, is a very big one. People who have just been divorced, they go through that. People who have just retired, you'll be surprised the number of people that are seeking treatment after retirement. This is
Sure, it's
something I,
the happiest time of your life. Everybody works towards retirement when you can just do whatever you want to, and you're
the,
stressed.
and let me just tell you, I have to work on myself for that, knowing that all my life I've been working and loving what I do. When I get to this point, I have to find something. Well, I'm glad I'm doing the counseling now because I may have to go through adjustment disorder every day, being what I do. But yes, adjustment disorder is a very, very big one. Retirement, people are seeking treatment for that. Family moving, you'll be surprised when families move to different places. New neighborhoods, adjustment disorder, financial issues, big adjustment to you're working and getting paid this amount, and all of a sudden they downsize you. Oh man, that's a very big one. And we've seen social anxiety, as I said before. We've seen panic, and we've seen the borderline personality disorder. I deal with a lot of couples in my practice, and a lot of it is sometimes the individuals, they have their own issues rather than the issues are the one that are exacerbating the problem within the relationship.
We're quickly running out of time, but you often talk about resilience and recovery. What does true healing look like? And is it something we ever really finish, or is it more of a lifelong process?
Depends upon the disorder. There's some disorder that people have reached a point in terms of self-actualization, I would say. I don't know if I would use the word you cure from it all, but you reach the level where you can tolerate your anxiety because you understand it now. You're gonna, the post-traumatic stress disorder, when those memories come back, it's not as painful as it was before. So those things matter. But some you may have to be on, for example, schizophrenia and all those kind of stuff. Borderline, you may have to be there for a long period of time, especially with regards to the medication. Disorders that you take medication for, it will be a longer time to really get off, become better, because the medication has a lifespan of its own also. So what does healthy looks like? I think I would use the word more healthy in terms of operational functioning. What I'm doing and how I'm relating to, because we look at three things. How does the disorder affect your home life? How does it affect your job, occupation, school, and yourself? So once those things in terms of your ability to cope, your ability to work, and not necessarily spend your time excessively, if you're going through anxiety, excessively worried because your boss asks you to do a big project, and by the way, anxiety is part of our life. There are levels of anxiety that we need to have. If you're taking a test for the first time, there's a level of anxiety that is necessary for you to have. But the excessive worry and fear, that's where the problem. Okay? The fear that if I walk into this building, something will happen. You hyperventilate. Those things. So it depends again on the diagnosis that you have and the disorder that you're struggling with, to say that if it's going to be for the rest of your life. Some, not necessarily. Therapy here in the United States, insurance don't pay for therapy for the rest of your life. Insurance may pay you for 6 months, 12 months and stuff like that. So we have to make sure the client is in terms of operational functioning so that they can be able to cope with whatever situation that they're faced with.
And finally, for someone listening today who feels stuck, maybe they're still battling the weight of their past, life is lifing, whatever it is, what's one small step they can take towards healing?
I would say if you can find someone that they trust, that they can talk to a professional in the field.
Because I had the two ladies last week was even complaining about the professionals that they dealt with, and hearing from other people, the professionals are repeating. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah, there's something I'm fighting, and I will continue to fight the idea of confidentiality. People have reached out to me out from Grenada seeking help, and one of the reasons why they're seeking help outside of Grenada is because they don't have trust in the people that are providing the services, because people talk, and that's sad. So that's something, and we don't have. I don't know if there's a mechanism in Grenada with regards to oversight. of the professionals because we have it here. Someone can report any therapist to the boards here, and you lose your license. I don't think we have that in Grenada. So we need those things, mechanisms in place where we can protect the clients, protect the people seeking help. So seek help is one piece. I would try to understand what I'm going through by maybe doing some psychoeducation, reading. I am always available to speak to people. I have a busy life out here, but I am always make myself available to help someone that is in need of counseling, need in terms of advice or even referrals to someone. But we need more of it. We are lacking badly. The growth of a nation is also the growth in terms of our own mental health and wellness. You know, we can say we're doing this and we're doing that, but the minds of the people that are affected and the thought processes, if they're still struggling with it, we're not growing in terms of our human capital.
Well, finally, what message would you leave with our listeners this Mental Health Awareness Month as we get ready to wrap it up?
Yes, I would say again, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. So if you're going through and you've been struggling for a period of time, there are two things that we look at when someone comes in for help. We look at the severity of it and the duration of it. How long it has been happening, how severe it is. So I always do give an instrument in my intake process. If it's anxiety, I'll use the GAD scale to assess where that person is. So I would always try and tell them in terms of my closing remark, seek help. Mental health is not, if you're struggling with something, you're not crazy. Okay, the body is telling you something psychologically, emotionally, and also with regards to socially. Maybe affecting your friends, your friendship, affecting your mood, affecting your thought process. Try to read up more and understand for yourself and seek the help that you need. Trust someone that you feel that can help you necessary in terms of, and if someone has betrayed your trust and confidence in the past, don't give up in seeking help because really it's needed to help you to go through. And once again, Aruna, I want to thank you and the radio station for doing what you're doing to bring this public awareness with regards to mental health. The stories of the ladies last week, powerful. Suffering with bipolar. From a young age, they identified with regards to those things, and still today. But they're living their life. They're taking the medication. Okay? That's important. If they prescribe medication, one of the questions I ask in any client, are you on any medication? I list the medication. How often are you taking it? You can tell me no. I'll refer them back to the psychiatrist because medication management is important. Okay, help our people in Grenada. Too many of our people in Grenada cope with alcohol and other substances. We have a lot of substance-induced disorders in Grenada.
And I think that's probably we could have you back to talk about that part of it.
Yes, and I am willing to do that. My first couple of years in this field was in the addiction field, doing a lot of work. As a matter of fact, I went back when I needed my certification in clinical mental health. I did my internship in addiction substance abuse program because that's where you see a whole lot of stuff with regard to mental disorders and stuff. You think it's the alcohol is a problem. No, sometimes it's the anxiety that causing them to drink. Sometimes it's the depression that causing them. Okay, so we have to look at it and separate that. Is it being used as a coping skill, and are we not treating the real condition?
We'll definitely do a follow-up. I like that line with, in terms of the alcohol and other substance abuse, because we do have a problem where that is concerned. So the next time we have you on, it will be to talk about that. Dr. Anthony Bridgeburn, educator, clinician, and a mental health advocate, thank you so very much for sharing your insights with us today. And we'll be more than happy to have you back so we can look at a different angle, because mental health, it's very, very important. So thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. All the best.
You're welcome. All right. Yep, such an important reminder from Dr. Bridgman that healing doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean forgetting what we've been through. It means learning to live, love, and lead ourselves with more compassion every day. So whether your story begin in pain or pressure, know that it can still grow into peace and purpose, and take that first small step, like you said, talk to someone, check in with yourself, or simply give yourself permission to heal because mental health isn't just about surviving, it's about becoming whole. I wish the best for everyone. And next week, God's will, we'll pick up where we left off. Have yourselves a great Thursday, everybody. And thank you so much for powering up and staying here for this very, very important conversation. Have a great Thursday, all.